Lulu was left to them, and it's not going to be locked in, though. Last second switch up for Dumbledoge, and it's the Ashe Zyra lane we've been seeing all the way back to the start of the season.
Yeah, Dumbledoge is very high damage support for the team. He's got an Ashe with him, so as the 2v2 goes, not a lot can beat that. Even if they pick the Lulu now on the side of Gigabyte Marines, doesn't really win the lane. They have the push, they have a lot of damage.
Play to the strengths, that's what Supermassive's game plan is. It has been all about that bottom lane, and well, they had some trouble dealing with Karza the other day. We'll see what they do now. It's the Lee Sin locked in for Stomaged.
Yeah, good denial, actually. Stomaged can play the Lee Sin himself. He's quite a good Lee Sin player, but you always look at Levi and you say, that's the Lee Sin guy. So very clever stuff here from the Supermassive side, the TCL region, denying the jungler of choice. But again, we mentioned this. I don't think Gigabyte Marines want to pick their jungler just yet.
No, they're going to say, that's okay. We got plenty of tricks in the book. As the Lulu is already picked up here for Archie, so they fill out their bottom lane. That's a lot of sustain there.
Not the best 2v2, though.
And phase 2. Definitely not. But it's a little harder to get locked down now that you've got the Whimsy and the Wild Growth at level 6.
Yeah, pretty hard to kill, I guess, the Jhin in this case, but the 2v2s are going to be a little bit lacking. The Karma perhaps could have shored up the lane weaknesses that a Jhin has, but Lulu could actually indicate, once again, empowering the jungle position. Lulu goes well with a champion like Kha'Zix, which is something that Levi does play.
The Shen is banned out by the Gigabyte Marines. It goes back the way of Supermassive, and they remove the Kha'Zix themselves. Starting to dig into Levi's pool just a little bit more.
We have to look towards what the ban is going to be alongside that Kha'Zix. If they commit to the jungle pool, Elise probably goes along with it. Perhaps the Grave, again, depends where their priorities lie.
Yeah, starts to neglect that mid lane matchup, though, so we might see the likes of the Syndra coming out.
Yeah, Syndra is a big pick here. Actually shared between both of them, but I'd say Optimus has more counters to the Syndra.
Definitely the case, as Rumble is going to be the final ban on the Gigabyte Marines side up against Fabulous. Played that in their last game against the Flash Wolves, not found a lot of success, and there's your Syndra ban.
Yeah, so they removed the Syndra. Fabulous having champions banned away from him, Galio, Shen, and Rumble total. He still can default to something like the Nautilus, and you'd expect to be perfectly fine. He has played Nautilus, I believe it's up there with his most played champions. And so they aren't banning him out, so to speak, they're just getting rid of his best choices.
Yeah, now with the Gigabyte Marines, the next best choice for Levi is going to be that Graves. It's locked in. Fair amount of AD split between that and the Jhin, but got a little AP damage as well from the Gragas, but that is still a pretty mean comp if they can lock somebody down.
And it just pains me a little bit still to see this Graves locked in by Levi. It's not the big early playmaking champion that we want to see from him, but Graves still has a lot of early pressure. It can work. We'll have to see if it does.
Yeah, I mean, just got to get some flashbacks, though, right? He did 2 games on Kha'Zix and dunks on TSM, and then the Graves, not quite as effective. He was still pulling his own weight.
The comp.
As the last locks are pulled in here, it is going to be that Nautilus, and Nara's going to be throwing some rocks.
Now, it really does come down to Optimus as to what he'd like to play against this. You can go the aggressive Talon route, try and be a damage dealer. Zed also quite applicable in that respect. Or you can be much more of a control mage, but with LeBlanc taken off the board, Syndra taken off the board, he'd have to default to something a bit more like the Orianna if he really wants to look that direction. As there we go.
All right, so we get juked at the last sec. The Karma you were talking about looks like might be the mid lane choice.
Yeah, it feels like they're going to be playing a Empower the Levi game here from the side of Gigabyte Marines.
When he's your standout player, you want to make him as big as you possibly can. That seems to be the game plan for both teams, but not as much on the Protect the Ashe. Yes, there's some shields, but there is a whole hell of a lot of poke. Some solid rotations that Supermassive can do. We'll see how this one pans out against the Gigabyte Marines.
It is most curious, however, that the Jhin is still with this composition. You could look at, in my opinion anyway, the Gigabyte Marines draft and say they could have ordered this just a little bit better. They perhaps could have drafted a little bit more efficiently, but the composition that they've comprised for themselves is still a perfectly fine comp. They've got the fact that they have the Jhin is actually the most important part, because it can still lock people down. They now have a form of crowd control that can be coupled with damage. If Lulu hits a slow, Karma hits a slow, Graves even with a smoke screen, all of these things can set up well. They aren't completely reliant on having a Gragas Flash Body Slam as their forms of engage. So as it stands, whilst it wasn't the ideal situation, they've still put themselves together with a decent team composition.
True that, and it also helps the way that they like to play with the high mobility composition. Speed boost between the Karma and the Lulu can help them in those quick decision making. Supermassive are going to have to keep their intervals tight. Watch their backs. They don't want to get collapsed on. The team from TCL and the team from the GPL battling it out for a final spot in Rio de Janeiro. The big stage at MSI awaits. The play-ins. This is going to be the last hurrah for them as the Thundersticks go up. The crowd gets cheering. We'll find out who's going to take this one. Will it be the Gigabyte Marines, or will it be Supermassive?
A lot on the line for both of these teams, Pyra. Fast-paced game to be expected out of the Gigabyte Marines, but will Supermassive match it? That's all.
Team from the GPL. Game, we'll have to see where he decides to keep his focus, but right now it's a 5-man stack in the bottom. Supermassive, they're looking for a little bit of cheese, but no one's biting on the bait there as Archie doesn't go too close.
They've learned their lesson. Remember that when Supermassive played against the Flash Wolves, game number 1, level 1, they walked into a bush, lost a Flash, and look at what happens afterwards. Of course, they've got a Zyra again, so they're going to set up in the bottom lane. The fact they go down there as 5, they have learnt their lesson in that respect. But it means they can set up the plants if they choose. However, there is a response, a visible response.
There we go, going to get that ward cleared off, but now that they know it's there, not going to go any farther.
And this isn't the first time that Optimus has gone for a sweeping lens. He actually did it in his set against TSM, I believe, denying some vision and trying to prevent the eyes of Supermassive. It's a curious choice to actually see this happen, especially for a mid laner. But what this does mean is that Levi is super important in placing wards around the middle lane to protect him or finding the enemy jungler.
Yeah, especially against an early game jungler like the Lee Sin. And now they actually wander their way into the Raptor Pit. Seeing Stomage, who turns a quick 180. This is going to be a camp steal away. He's going to be able to get 1 or 2. Goes in on the big one, has the smite. So he nabs a little bit of experience off the back of it, but that's still going to slow him down to start things off. Interesting choice by the Gigabyte Marines, 3-stack.
It is actually a very good decision because, again, Zyra is going to start in lane. If she starts in lane, she's not going to be there to leash, nor is Zaitno. Naru not helping is the only other problem that you'd have to have a quarrel, perhaps, towards what Supermassive started this game off with. Lane pressure absolutely in control in the bottom lane, however, for Supermassive. So whilst it was a decent decision to deny experience away from Stomage, playing towards the strengths of what the Gigabyte Marines want to do, it does impact this bottom lane.
True that. They're going to be pushed back for the time, and now Levi's actually found Stomage. Speaking of pushing him back, he starts to swing that jungle matchup. Red buff versus no buff. Stomage is in trouble end of the line, and he's going to have to flash away. Levi running this jungle to start things off.
And this is what it means. The battle now of the strong lanes. If they empower bottom Supermassive, the opposite thing happens for the Gigabyte Marines. They put Stomage down while simultaneously bringing Levi up. The Storm Raider surge throughout that engage was enough to actually keep him closer to the Lee Sin, over the ward hop distance, and actually almost secure him.
Oh man. Your jungle? Not enough. My jungle.
That was efficient attack.
Going for it, doubling up on those double buffs, and now things are looking good for the Gigabyte Marines to start this off. His first blood happens down in the bottom side. Things couldn't get any worse for Supermassive right now, but Archie, there's the heal forced out. It slays Zeitnot, nearly gets a return kill as the Doge falls for first blood.
All right, well, I take back everything I say. The bottom lane's not going to be winning. Disregard my narrative. Apparently, Slay and Archie just have what it takes to 2v2 them with a minion wave there. I don't blame Supermassive for fighting that, but that didn't go as planned.
Yeah, a Zeitnot. Archie's looking tasty with bait, but there's an exhaust on, and he's flashing forward. Oh no, it looks like he might have baited himself as a big shot from Slay completes the 2.
And Slay crits it and quits it just like that. Lee Sin also nearby about to find Levi, but this bottom lane from the Gigabyte Marines is just going absolutely berserk.
Here's how the start of it all happened.
Yeah, we get to see this kill as it happens. Once again, Lulu hits the slow. Impossible for Jin to then miss the slow, barring some kind of mistakes. You don't really see from this position how someone should die, but it's just that simple. Slay works around the crit, 2 flashes forwards, and easy as she does it.
Yep, Stomage now trying to make up for lost time down to the bottom side. There's a few wards out there, but the slowing down that the Gigabyte Marines were able to do is really enough to keep him on the back foot. And Slay and Archie picking up a couple of kills down bottom. Certain isn't hurting. Now Archie's going on a roaming spree with Levi. The action's not going to stop anytime soon, Rusty.
And notice that Archie's also keeping himself invisible there as pressure now mounting in this middle lane as Levi gets closer to the level 6 point. This is a lot.
Ooh, the flash auto, and it's Optimus optimizing what he can do. Now a kill in the mid solo. Stomage coming in.
And it's a bait. They want Stomage to hit the Q here onto Optimus because they've got Lulu and Graves nearby. They want this Lee Sin. They're out for blood, but they've been spotted.
There we go. Now he doesn't take the trip. Levi's going to tag his way in. Stomage is going to get nothing. Lee Sin cannot catch a break.
He's on struggle street. Experience will be there, but the gold, the items, everything else will not be for Stomage. Naru going down in his lane. Zeitnot Dumbledore dying in laning phase. They said they could contain the pressure perhaps. They have strategies in place. Well, so far the opposite has been taking place. The weak point of the Gigabyte Marines is winning.
Yeah, now Optimus
And
teleporting
diving
in to
bottom.
go for the dive. Double Doge and Zeitnot. Oh boy. Talking about struggles, this one's going to be rough. It's a four-man gang squad party in the bot lane, and they're looking to come in for Double Doge. He goes back to tower safely, but Zeitnot is not so lucky. It's Archie that picks up the kill with a health picks. The Doge is caught. He's taken out, and now it's Slay on a 3-0 killing spree.
This team is on fire. 2 kills at the same time. They didn't even say, screw it, we'll just get Double Doge, we'll go for the tower. They make sure that both members of Supermassive's bottom lane goes down. The turret soon to follow with it. The cannon waves here. And Supermassive, they have no response.
Gigabyte Marines are moving out 5-0 the kill count. Slay is going to be around to collect that tower gold, and a little bit of damage on the mid is all that Supermassive can get back. We're 6 minutes into this game, Rusty. We thought it was going to be action, but this is another level.
You remember week 1 of the play-in stage when teams were trying to have as many kills as the clock? Well, Gigabyte Marines are doing it as a one-sided affair. Just themselves, 5 kills, 6 minutes. 4,000, almost 3.5 is the gold lead. And top lane's the only one that's still holding on. I'm glad it's the first time we've seen it. It doesn't even matter at this stage because the second they rotate the Jhin and the Lulu up there, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, Optimus has got to be careful a little bit. He almost stepped on top of the mines. Naru, his first venture in this tournament on the Talia, hasn't really had too much luck right now, and obviously it's difficult to do in the bottom lane of the jungle is just getting set so far behind. But if he's expected to kind of step up and fill some of the void, Zeitnot has not really been able to match what Slay and Archie have been doing.
And one important thing to note as well for the Gigabyte Marines, I really like their decision making here, is that they keep their bottom lane down bottom. Because the Infernal Drake is the first Drake of the game, and they want to actually secure that one. So Slay comes in, they place control wards down. They've all, literally everybody has refillable potions. They're trying to be as efficient as possible here. They've got their Doran's power spikes. The Infernal Drake, even though it does a lot of damage, if they set up the minion waves, slowly push them back, then they can do a lot of work. They can take it down for free, then rotate.
Right, and they're compensating for some of the mobility losses that we talked about. The Jhin not having a ton of mobility. Well, he's got the very early Boots 3 that he picked up. Not to mention, you've got Archie's Whimsy. When Optimus joins the fray, you're going to be able to get the shield, the speed boost. It's going to be so hard for them to really catch him because they've made this Jhin kind of a slippery champion. And he's 3-0 on the game.
Yeah, and he's also got a lot of slows on the enemy team. So whilst he goes for the Boots of Swiftness, I do quite like that. He's against an Ashe. If they get a Rylai's on Naru, he's also got the Rock Field. There's a Cripple from Lee Sin, and Fabulous also, between all of his crowd control, has a lot of slows. And if the goal is to keep Slay alive, he needs those boots sooner rather than later to empower him, as that was close. Sweeping Lens misses.
Unfortunate. Levi's not able to get in and clear it at the back of the pit. Everyone wants that dragon.
Still set up time, though.
Marines are not in a rush to get it. They will take their time for sure.
And I feel like the red buff comes before the Infernal Drake. There's still vision there from Supermassive on it. You can see it just to the right of your screen.
Stomage occupied. And now he might be just in time to see his red buff go by.
No smite.
See, no smite available. It's going to get picked up by Levi. Stomage just a little too late. And that's pretty much the story of this early game.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And speaking of early game,
uh-oh.
Naru,
nowhere to go. He gets a seismic shove, but he gets shoved out of lane as Archie's kicked back into the tower. That's
Nautilus is
kill
here.
On the board for Supermassive. In comes Fabulous. Can he and Stomaged make the play to save the day? It's Optimus and Levi. Curtain calls opening up, and now Slay with the rampage kill. Stomage going down. The Ash Arrow connects onto Optimus, but there is nothing but minions there, and they cannot get a follow-up. 8-2 in kills now on the board.
And they just barely clear the last minions to keep Optimus alive with pretty much no health to speak of to his name. Supermassive get on the board. That's important. The flash kick from Stomage keeps Lulu tanking the turret. She's stuck, so she will go down. The rest of the map, though, even with Fabulous getting there first, neither of them having teleport. It was just about walking down at the right time. It's still the Gigabyte Marines that choose to go forwards, choose to make these plays. And compliments of a shove from Naru. Again, that is good from Stomage, but now he feels like he has the possibility to go back forwards, but he can't step up. Every time he tries, he doesn't have a lot of health. He has nothing to speak of, and the Q misses. So he's pretty much out of the fight. He has to run away, but because he hangs around instead of running away, he's going to go down as the plants expired just barely. And they save Optimus's life by expiring.
Well, they don't live forever, but it seems like Optimus and Slayer are making a good go of it here. Haven't died in the first 10 minutes of the game. Neither has Stark, actually, but it's been a much quieter affair up top. We haven't touched on it because, well, pretty much just a whole lot of back and forth. A lot of sustain, but Stark with his 3-ring build, keeping himself nice and healthy. Fabulous doesn't have the shove he needs. He did get involved in that mid lane and kind of helped to make the difference a little bit, but they need some time.
He has the shove now, though. He's gone for the Spectre's Cow compared to the 3 Dorans. Nothing's going to kill the Nautilus from this stage in the game. Stark, we already said he's a pretty important member to his team. Slay.
Oh, heal, shove, dodge. Nicely done. But he's got to be careful. The rock throw there. Now Naru in goes. Okay. Stomage. Levi manages to pick up Naru, but teleports are flying here. Optimus coming forward. Flash, Mantra Q. They've caught Stomage, but he breaks the tether. And now the barrel comes out, just sends him packing, but he's staying alive here as Fabulous hooks his way back to the safety of the tower. It's a 1-for-1 trade.
It's just so hard to kill the Gigabyte Marines. Just as a team composition by itself, they still take out Archie. It's the second death for the Lulu of the game, but 403 Slay, he is doing a lot of work. Efficient early game builds for all of the members of this team. Athene's Unholy Grail, Warrior's Enchantment finished, Ghostblade also done. And while Supermassive are turning things around, they're starting to up the tempo just a little bit more. It's Gigabyte Marines always doing it first, every single time. As Jin's laid down the curtain call.
There we go, they've got that extra 8%
Get out of here.
AD and AP to work with now. And the rest of Supermassive are sent running for cover. The gold lead continues to grow here as Gigabyte Marines have themselves just shy of 4,000. We're just shy of 12 minutes into this game. Very early on, Optimus grabbing himself a blue buff or getting down towards this bottom lane again. They keep the wave shoved as well. It's hard for Supermassive.
And credit where it's due for Supermassive holding on. The lead hasn't grown any further, but they're not in a position to come back into this game anytime soon. Naru's item build going towards the GLP. Once he completes that, he'll be harder to kill, because all of the champions of Gigabyte Marines don't have a lot of committal crowd control. He can try and space himself a little bit better. Distance, just that extra couple of units, maybe one Teemo of space keeps him alive against the Graves.
Sometimes that's the difference maker.
And it's important with a pick composition that they've pretty much got for themselves as well. The Ash arrows come through, the seismic shove there, Lee Sin kicks. Nautilus and Zyra all complements each other. Zyra often seen in Talia compositions, just something to keep in mind, because when they group up mid lane, they work together extremely well.
They just need to be able to execute those catches, and Slay has got to be target number 1 right now on this Jhin. Starting to step up really big as the teleport comes in. Stark finds Stomage, gets the kickback. In comes Optimus, though. See if they can get it damaged. No, it's going to be intercepted by the Grom. Gigabyte Marines are foiled here.
That menacing Toad would have got away with it too if it wasn't for him. No, a lot of damage. I mean, it's just a mid laner teleport as well, so they're okay here. Optimus can afford to throw that one. He's going to be rotating quicker in the first place, but still, the wards have always been there. They're constantly spotting out where the Gigabyte Marines are. However, this play for the turret, can they stop it?
Looks like the answer for now is going to be yes, but Gigabyte Marines still fancying their chances. Try and finish off this top tower.
Because Naru's not here at all, so they're trying to play the numbers game. This should actually work for them.
Tether completes. In comes Stark. He's going to bide his time. There we go. Body slam onto Stomage, but the barrel is going to be dodged now. Fabulous is the one who's locked up, but Stark is tanking tower shots through the wild growth. Stomage almost finishes him off. It's Zeitnot that gets it done, but Slay answers right back onto the jungler of Supermassive, and Gigabyte Marines get another tower.
Yeah, Zeitnot smacks him from the mid lane with the Ash arrow. He's now pushing the middle lane turret. Supermassive have made a conscious attempt here to try and trade. Naru will get the bottom lane turret. It's going to take an awful long time for Zeitnot, however, in the middle lane to even look at getting the objective himself. So this means the Gigabyte Marines respond by keeping everybody top lane. They go for the aggressive dive, and yes, Stark dies, but that is so worth it for them, as they shouldn't lose mid if they get here in time. And overall, it's just a favorable trade.
Yeah, Optimus is going to get there to defend. It's another 2 towers traded for the 1 of Supermassive. So the gold continues to grow, creeping forward in the favor of Gigabyte Marines. They've got this early game. Looks like they're going to have a lot later in the game as well, if it even goes that long right now. Supermassive still on the back foot.
Yeah, breaking 2 turrets in the top lane is actually super important, as the next Drake, again, going to be an Infernal. I feel like it's a Gigabyte Marines thing, by the way. The whole series against TSM, I think we saw 1 ocean. The rest were mountains and Infernals. No
All
shit,
things worth
just
fighting
yet.
for.
Yeah, as if a team that wants to fight for everything gets a Drake that everyone wants to fight for.
Now, here's Naru. He's trying to cut them off, but the wall's a bit short right now. Looks like they ran out of budget. In goes Slay trying to curtain call his way to push them off. It looks like that'll be successful, but Dumbledoge is able to intercept the rest of the shots, keeping Zeitnot alive. And now Gigabyte Marines a little uncertain here as they don't have Stark with them. He's got teleport, but he's busy on the bottom lane. Let's see if they can get this last outer as Fabulous is making his way in. He's spotted by the captive audience, and now they'll be backing off.
Yeah, they don't commit to actually taking it down. Stark does have teleport, but because Fabulous is already there, the pick that can come out of Supermassive as a roster is just slightly too high, a little bit too risky to commit to something this early into the game. But he's patiently waiting. I don't know if he wants to find these targets, so I'm glad he left.
Bottom. See, now Zeitnot is caught, and the hook catches Levi on the back half as he gets a wild growth. Collateral damage out. Stomage trying to get the kickoff, but he just kicks Slay back into safety. And now Supermassive, they're out of cooldowns here. Gigabyte Marines, they're taking a page out of the Supermassive book. This protect the 80 carry has been working out.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, Stomage misses the kick that he was looking towards, so now Gigabyte Marines stay as a four-man unit. Stark slowly rotating towards this middle lane, lumbering along, finding some Narus, preventing the Talia.
Uh-oh, might need the blast cone. Let's see if he takes it. Boom, over he goes, right into the waiting arms of Dumbledoge. Stark is gonna fall down to Naru on a last auto attack, but meanwhile, checking back in with mid. Gigabyte Marines are trying to make the best out of a bad situation, finish off that tower, but nothing doing.
A little bit foolish from Stark, I think it's fair to say. He thought he had the one-on-one. He was just trying to keep Naru away from the middle lane, but suddenly everybody appears, almost as if there was no minion wave mid, as Optimus has got him.
Ooh, I don't know about this. Who's catching who? The teleport's about to finish off. Naru does take a lot of damage, and that's going to get canceled by Fabulous, but now the Gigabyte Marines, the TP advantage will be soon with Optimus is coming off cooldown.
This is
start to look towards the mid.
This is very messy. This is Supermassive playing the Gigabyte Marines game. That's not what you want to be doing.
Not when you're this far behind, for sure. Dumbledoge is going to have to back, so is Stomage. That is the last outer tower falling for Gigabyte Marines. And the Baron, or the Dragon, I should say, 15 seconds left.
Yeah, they should be able to get to base in time. No setup actually there from the Supermassive roster just yet. They'll be moving over towards it, you'd have to imagine, as this is 2 Infernal Drakes in a single game, as the first 2 Drakes at around 17 minutes. So the immediate rotation, as expected, should be seen, but I would not fight the Gigabyte Marines if I was Supermassive. The items they've got are just way too strong.
Yep. Ghostblade does play to Drakthar, completed on Slay. He's starting to roll on forward, and you can see, even though it's been protection-minded for the rest of Gigabyte Marines, they've still got damage to speak of. Needlessly large rod on Optimus right now, working his way towards his next item. 18 minutes into this game, it's hard to compete right now with what Supermassive are bringing out. It just isn't going to be enough to get the fight off. However, they're looking to cut off Slay. He's isolated all by himself. Arrow. Fast fingers there, and it helps that you got some speed boots, and now the Dragon's going to be finished off unless Stomage has something to say about it. He's too late to the party. Gigabyte Marines are going to turn around. Levi getting kicked out, but Stomage caught inside the pit. Stark taking the front line. Throws the barrel into the belly pop. It's Levi getting a collateral kill, and now the curtains are open. It's a double for the Graves, looking for Fabulous. Things are unraveling for Supermassive.
It's never going to end. Fabulous is going to die as well.
Oh, baby, a triple. Levi is on the board.
Crazy. The fact that Supermassive use 2 ultimates mid lane, they miss and they still commit to the fight, that's signs of desperation. They're playing against a mid-game team composition that's well and truly thriving in the current environment. It does not look like slowing down from here.
No, they got themselves another Dragon, they got themselves the 3 kills, and why the hell not add on top of it a mid-lane tower? Supermassive are going to be clinging to life for the rest of this game.
Not going to be an easy battle for them. Remember that the Talia ultimate is gone, the Ash Arrow is gone, and Stomage just wants to get out of here. So does Fabulous, but that Gragas cast, Stark, let me tell you, when he gets Gragas, looks like a whole new man. That draft phase could already be unraveling here for the Supermassive side. Fabulous just trying his absolute hardest to get away, but guess what? You've now got a Lulu Karma composition with an extra triple kill going over to the Graves. That is a big carry if ever I have seen one.
Talked about Gigabyte Marines maybe revealing a lot in the TSM series, but it doesn't matter if you reveal a lot if your opponent still can't deal with it.
Oh, ban it. It's like these are the things we beat TSM with. Will you challenge us on this? Will we be able to 5th pick Karma?
Uh-oh, Zeitnot going running. He does dodge the deadly flourish. Point blank Ash arrow to the face of Archie, but the rest of Supermassive are running, and in comes Levi looking for a kill. It's Optimus who gets it at the end. And now Levi gets one more. Archie's going to fall over to Fabulous, but that's a consolation kill. That Nautilus is locked up between 4 members of the Marines. It's a double for the Graves, and they're right on mid lane. It looks like they might be turning for Baron soon.
Yeah, 7, 1, and 4. I think it's a little bit too early. It could take them quite a while to do the Baron, especially with death timers. Actually just being this low because they're only 20 minutes in. So the Siege seems to be the name of the game from this team as Talia says no.
All right. Throws down the wall. The minions are caught. Levi is on the wrong side, but is it because Naru just gets blown up? Double doges out. Optimus will finish him off. And now it's Stomage and Zeitnot trying to tag their way in. But this tower is already gone. 20 minutes. Gigabyte Marines are in the base looking for Zeitnot. And now Stark, he's turned around on. Stomage just realizes he just can't shred through his health bar.
They got Slay.
He's caught. He's going to have to flash away, but you can't dodge the knock-up here. Now Gigabyte Marines a little bit low on the retreat path. Stark.
They just can't kill anyone.
Give his life, but the Supermassive don't have damage here. Levi, godlike kill with the collateral. Supermassive are super dead.
Gigabyte Marines, what did they have for breakfast?
I don't know, man, but I want some.
Well and truly energized. Coming into game number 1, 20-6. Again, they're pretty much at the clock with kills in game number 1 of a best of 5. That's a tilter, Fyra. That's a tilter.
Yep, Supermassive hanging on for dear life as they have a busted base in the mid. The Baron is on the menu at 21 minutes. Not just yet, because Gigabyte Marines will be backing away. And here's that play. Extended fight inside the base.
And just to be clear, look at the health and the mana that all of these guys have. But just barely, they have enough mana to get one more rotation. Then just one more rotation after that. Lulu comes in at the perfect time, keeping Stark alive. As the shield comes on, another shield comes on. And that's so much shield. And so no one's gonna die. Try as you might as a pick composition. If the pick doesn't work, you lose the fight.
Unfortunately for Supermassive, just can't shred right through it now. 10k gold lead to Stark gets kicked away. Stomage, though, is caught up. It's fish in a barrel. And speaking of barrels, Stomage gets knocked, pinballed right into the kill from Slay. And now, the Baron is well and truly on.
Yeah, sushi for dinner, unfortunately, here if you're Supermassive. As, this Baron should be completely uncontested. Everybody not even wanting to look at the area. In fact, this is just where the sun does not touch near Pride Rock. Danger zone.
Everything is Gigabyte Marines at this point. So with the Baron buff early on in this game, they'll be looking to try and close it out best they can. Wards littered around this jungle, one in the mid. Supermassive just trying to grab anything they can, and Zeitnot, normally the standout performer of this team. Well, he's been riding the struggle bus in game 1.
The crowd absolutely loving it as well. Every Gigabyte victory just seems to be a victory for them. They love the bloodthirsty League of Legends games, and tell you what, that is being absolutely provided right now.
Yep. Give credit to Supermassive not saying die. However, they just don't have the damage to finish anyone off, and Fabulous, as tanky as he is already shredded down to half his health bar. And these Baron empowered minions are standing strong as Stark in the front side is intercepting every single skill shot he possibly can. Levi bringing up in the mid. This is going to be another tower. Smokescreen laid down, and Supermassive won't even see it finished off. As Stomage comes in, gets the kick onto Levi, but he's sealed his own death warrant. Now he's going down. Barrel bomb, fight not, down he goes. Stark with a big kill. Redemption coming out to keep the Gigabyte Marines on the Nexus turrets. One's going down, and this is all hope for Supermassive in game number 1. Melting away, 24 minutes on the clock, 24 kills for the Gigabyte Marines, and it's a hell of a statement game to open this series.
Game number 1, a kill a minute, absolutely right, Pyre, and that is an absolute smashing the Gigabyte Marines.
I'd say they had him over a barrel, Rusty.
That was pretty nutty. That's not how you expect a series to start, to say the least. Supermassive, they want to be that refined, slow macro team. Play the map, make Gigabyte Marines play the map. But I'll tell you what, felt like at level 1, when they stole the Raptors, there was no response.
Yep. Got to have flashbacks to that Flash Wolf series where all their games ended sub 30 minutes. This is going to be a hard climb for them. If they can mentally unravel what happened in that game, they can get back into it, but that's got to be difficult.
Yeah, look, a 3-0 against the Flash Wolves. Expectations could be shattered a little bit there, but then you'd have some high hopes coming into the Gigabyte Marines. And then I think twice now in 3 days, those expectations have just been immediately shattered at the very beginning. And so we do have to watch how Supermassive actually bounce back. Can they just go backstage and say, look, we lost the game, it's okay, we come back, refresh, reset, try one more time?
Well, the team's been on the big stage before. There's always a chance for them to get back into it, but they need to start off a little stronger than stop what Gigabyte Marines have been able to bring out. But for more on that first win from the Gigabyte Marines, let's check